After the reveals of Legacy Evolution Wave 1 back in September, there were lots of items to salivate over, with the likes of IDW, Armada, and Japanese Beast Wars. Initially for me, however, there was little excitement for the long overdue Needlenose, the last Decepticon double target master to be released. Needlenose has been a long time coming, and after getting him in hand, I just can't sing his praises enough. I am Ben from Ben Talks Bots, and this is a review for Transformers Legacy Evolution Deluxe Class Needlenose. Needlenose originates from the latter half of Generation 1, specifically 1988 with the release of his double target master toy. Transforming into an F-16 XL variant of the F-16 Fighting Falcon, I just like saying the name, it makes me sound official. Needlenose is intrigued by Earth's fads and has a desperate desire to fit in, with his famous catchphrase, "Get hip or get hit." He can be seen with his Nebulon buddies, Sunbeam and Zigzag, who each have their own fashion tastes. With such a high finesse for fashion, Needlenose's toys have always looked stunning, even if they have been few and far between. Following the Collector Club exclusive from 2016 comes the first mainline figure of this fashion freak since the 80s, due in part to the all cards on the table philosophy of Legacy. As my first figure of Legacy Evolution, thanks to a surprise last minute Hanukkah gift from my mom, thanks mom, I did not expect it to be Needlenose, and I am so glad it wasn't Hotshot. Right out of the box, Needlenose had impressed, surprised, and excited me for the future potential of this line, on top of the stellar first year of Legacy toys. I didn't initially get the hype surrounding the release of him, but now I fully get why people were just clamoring for him after two unsuccessful fan votes in both Siege and Earthrise. This figure also follows a weird trend over the last few waves, where they include a Target Master character with their gun guys. I was not blown away with how Point Blank looked, leading me to skip that figure, but I'm so glad that I have a Target Master toy now, and one with the proper articulation, at least for Needlenose. In terms of the robot mode, it looks visually striking, with the dull gray being contrasted with the bright blue and purple. It also works that almost none of the purple is shown in jet mode, so that creates a different look between the two modes, so that's pretty cool. Speaking of pretty cool, I love the little asymmetrical greebly detail on his chest, taken straight from the G1 toy. Not that he has the best usage of asymmetry, but you know, it's there. Just saying this now, one of my favorite aspects of Transformers design is a little asymmetry. It's one of my soft spots whenever it appears, that and light piping. And while yes, the jet mode is kind of just hanging out, being all on the back, it is part of his character design, and his transformation is interesting enough for it to basically not matter. However, as you'll see in some of my footage, the flight stand port to get him in some dynamic poses is behind the cockpit, so in order to access it, you're gonna have to move it out of the way. Sad. Oh, and there needs to be a new horrible toy now to go with him, and maybe a better Trax, because the Kingdom one's just not very good. But that's another topic for another day. Now in terms of his target masters he comes with, they're okay. Just don't go in expecting Siege level quality of battle masters, as those had their own budget without having to worry about a whole deluxe, so I don't see the need to compare them. On their own terms, I like the inclusion being a nod to the Generation 1 toy, and it adds more characters to play with in the typical deluxe package. And I appreciate the effort of including them to begin with, as it adds some flair to Needlenose on top of his by default flair. I love how the Target boys look, especially with Sunbeam holding a gun while he himself turns into a gun, which I just think is funny. Speaking of Sunbeam, I love the style he's rocking, with the chest peg and the sexy white boots. Zigzag is interesting too, just not as much to me, and that is not because I'm a sucker for a purple and red color scheme. Strangely being cast in the same purple plastic as Sunbeam, Zigzag is painted tiny head to tiny toe in a striking black and yellow. Most of the details get lost in the black, which is one of my things, as you'll see with more of my videos. Subscribe for more upcoming content. Apparently, and I don't know if this is a TF Wiki joke or not, but Zigzag is supposedly a grumpy old man and Sunbeam a surfer bro, and that totally fits with how the two of these guys look. As part of the line's Evo Fusion gimmick, and as shown on the original toy, both Sunbeam and Zigzag can combine in their gun modes to create a triple-barreled sus blaster. Like, Am I the only one, or... Anyways, the Target Masters do their job well for looking like cool blasters for Needlenose, and seeing how the toy is now, I wouldn't want him to include something else in replacement for these little guys. In terms of articulation, it is way better than I was expecting, with great double jointed elbows and deep knee bends, using the hollow legs to their fullest advantage. And I know that a lot of people complain about hollow parts on modern Transformers. While I can understand this, I've never fully dismissed a figure due to gaps in the toy. If it feels hollow, that's a different story. But just appearing that way doesn't upset me much. And here on Needlenose, it benefits his posability, and it's also essential for the transformation, which we'll get into right now. Needlenose's jet mode is nice and sort of sleek. Most jet formers can't escape the robot kibble under the plane, so him having it doesn't offend me. What is kind of offensive to me, however, is the exclusion of landing gear. I know that he doesn't need it because, well, you know why. But as a level of tactile feel and extra playability is a detail on recent jet transformers that has become absent. And even if Needlenose isn't the best display of this issue, it gives me an excuse to talk about one of my pet peeves, so sorry, Needlenose. Minor qualm aside, I love having a deluxe size jet again, and it appears to be opening the door for more bots who share the same size, like the aerial bots or the Predators, as Needlenose can combine with Wave 2 leader Skyquake, who is his own can of worms. The Evo Fusion gimmick in jet mode takes the combined blasters and tabs it into the rear of the thruster, which doesn't really look good, but at least there's options. If not there, then for weapon storage, both Target Masters can plug underneath the wings. And for some reason, his tail fin can come off, which I can assume is for future retools and repaints. In terms of appearances, the teal and silver look lovely, and really help the jet pop out at you. I like the red cockpit, even if I do sort of wish the lining of blue was kept, but that's okay. And I think that it looks especially good with Armada Starscream. And just one last thing to note, the head flips over during transformation to reveal a flight stand port, which I think is hella cool. I highly recommend adding Needlenose to your collection. He's finally got an updated figure that looks great in poses, and is a great toy to just casually mess with, as it is satisfyingly simple to move between modes. Also, you are technically getting 3 characters for the price of 1, so that's a different way of looking at it. I always like Transformers that have transforming weapons, and for the first few days I had him, I could not put him down, and neither will you if you decide to get him. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me what you think of Needlenose in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Needlenose! 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 Needlenose!
What do you want?
Can you take me for a ride?
No.
Come on! I'll buy one of your dumb Chic chips.
They're not dumb. Fine.
Yay! Whee!